There has been a lot of speculation around our small town about where Leah could have gone. I have heard rumors that she was seen with an older guy the night before she disappeared, a kidnapping. She didn't have many connections with kids our age, so it's easy for someone to believe that she could have been caught up with the wrong person. My parents postured that she ran away from home. They never liked her controlling parents and always suspected that there was something sinister going on at home. In fact, I received a call from her mum only an hour after she hadn't come home that day. I was surprised to see the call coming in. I had her mum's number saved in my phone, but I don't think she ever called me up to that point. There was a heavy feeling in my gut immediately. I almost didn't want to pick up, but something told me I should. "Hello?" I answered with hesitation. Without missing a beat, Leah's mum's voice came back through the phone. "Have you heard from Leah? She was supposed to be home an hour ago. I checked her room and saw that she left her phone here. This is so unlike her." Her breaths were quick between each sentence, filled to the brim with urgency. I thought for a moment. My head began to buzz, searching for the right thing to say. I hadn't seen Leah. I hadn't spoken to her yet that day. So that's what I said. "No, I'm sorry. I'll let you know if I hear from her." The call ended without another word from my mum. The social media posts started the next day, as well as the rumors. There was a reason I hadn't seen Leah that day, or even the week prior. Leah had asked me to give her some space until she says she's ready to talk again. She confided in me that she was struggling with things at home and in her own head. She told me that she needed time to fight her own demons, and she'd let me know when she was better. I wasn't surprised when she asked this of me, as I knew Leah had to deal with her problems by hiding away in solitude until she was ready to come out again and face the world. In the few weeks leading up to this request, she had been getting more and more distant in conversations. I'd catch her spacing out a lot and freezing up any time I tried to check in. The truth is, Leah didn't have any friends besides me. She certainly wasn't talking with any older men. I know she didn't get along with her parents, but there's no way she would run away. That's what I thought anyway, so my mind connected the dots and fell on the worst case scenario. My grief hit me like a ton of bricks. I told my parents I was sick and stayed home from school for the next few days while I stayed in bed. I don't think I had a single complete thought in those 48 hours. My chest was so heavy, I thought it might cave in on itself. I couldn't eat a thing or leave bed to shower. I wondered if I would ever get up again, or if I'd just waste away in my room, consumed by the loss of my best friend. I wondered if there was anything else I could have done. I wondered if part of this was my fault. I wondered and wondered and wondered. My brain went from a deep, black, empty pit to a tangled mess of thoughts that I couldn't quell. I thought I might spiral into insanity if someone didn't pull me out of this turmoil. I hoped and wished for any kind of distraction at all. And then, as if my prayers were answered, there were 3 quiet taps on my bedroom window. I almost didn't notice them at first, but then I heard them again. I checked my phone for the time. 1 o'clock in the morning. I rolled over to face the window, and there's not a thing on earth that could have prepared me for what I saw on the other side. Leah. She was there, with her face pressed up against the glass, probably looking to see if I was awake. I stood straight up in an instant and flipped the lock on my window open in one swift movement. I realized I had barely stood up in days as I lost my balance and had to catch myself on my bed. I took a seat back down and watched in disbelief as Leah slid my bedroom window open. I tried to speak, but my words were stuck in my throat. So I just sat with my mouth agape and waited for her to speak first. "Hey," was all she said. Then finally, my words fell out of my mouth all at once. "What are you?" But I was interrupted by Leah, who spoke frantically now. "I know I have a lot of explaining to do, but first I need you to do something for me." I nodded, waiting for her to continue. She did. "I need you to meet me in the woods tonight, 3 a.m. okay? I can explain everything after you get there." My head was nodding yes, thrilled to see my friend again. But I wasn't fully processing her words. Something was off, but I couldn't quite pinpoint it. There was an aggression in her words, almost like she was hissing them at me. Upon looking at her for a second longer, I realized her hair was wild and her eyes seemed, well, empty. This gave me a sense of relief with the thought that maybe she really had just run away. She had probably been staying in the woods and hadn't had a chance to shower or sleep well in days. But there was something else that was making me feel uneasy. Then it hit me. My bedroom was on the second story. How was Leah at my window? So I asked quickly, "How did you get up here?" Something changed in her eyes when I asked. She almost looked angry, but her expression softened after a split second. She answered, "I grabbed your dad's ladder. He must have forgotten to take it into the garage, so I climbed up here instead of knocking. I didn't want to alarm anyone by using the door." I thought for a moment, and then gave a smile and a nod. Her answer made perfect sense, and I felt a calming warmth wash over me. "I'll see you tonight then, Leah." She didn't smile back. She just said, "See you then, and don't tell anyone where you're going." Then, before I could respond, her head quickly disappeared below the window. I laid in bed for the next hour, processing what had just happened. I didn't know what to make of it, but eventually figured I'd probably feel a lot better after meeting with her in the woods. I got dressed, gathered up some things in my backpack for the trip, and started to make my way out of the house. As I walked, I realized that Leah never specified a meeting place. She just said the woods. I assumed she meant the thick woods near my house. We had been in there plenty of times together, so maybe she would just meet me outside of them. I continued to ponder this as I made my way through my yard. Then, something occurred to me as I passed by my own window outside. There was no ladder there. A sinking feeling filled my stomach, and I stood, feeling lost and very confused in the middle of my yard for a few moments. I tried to reassure myself, but the comfort never came. My thoughts raced with how little sense the night's events had made. I realized that I was so excited to see Leah that I had just accepted everything that she was saying. What am I doing? What is going on? I wondered to myself as I headed inside for the garage. As I entered the garage and flicked on the lights, I was overcome with the most intense feeling of dread. My dad's ladder was inside, locked up as usual. Nothing made sense to me anymore. I began to wonder if I only hallucinated seeing and talking with Leah, but there was no way. It was all too real. I decided to sleep on the couch that night with the lights on. I used the word sleep lightly, as I'm not sure I got any at all. I spent most of the night replaying the events in my head and trying to make them make sense, but they never did. I only fell further and further into my confusion as the night went on. By morning, I was a complete mess. I thought about calling Leah's mum to see if there had been any updates, but she called me first. I took a minute to answer the phone while I worked out what I wanted to say to her. I went back and forth between whether I should tell her what happened last night or not. I hadn't come to a decision by the time I picked up the phone, but I didn't need to. When I answered, my ears were filled with the haunting sound of Leah's mum wailing on the other end. She wanted to tell me first, she said, between sobs. I waited on the end of the line while she found her breath. Once she did, she told me that Leah's body had been found in the woods last night, hanging by a noose from a tree. She told me the EMTs deemed it a suicide, confirming my worst fears. I listened in shock as she finished explaining. I wanted to let her go, to let her grieve, but I had one question I needed to ask her first. What time did they find her? I squeaked out, not quite ready to hear her response. Through sobs and hiccups, she gave me the worst possible answer. At midnight.